Hello my fellow gamers and welcome to 5 tips about combat and tactics in Phantom Brigade, a turn-based and real-time tactical RPG hybrid from the developer team over at Brace Yourself Games, who I have to thank for this opportunity to both show off their game and teach you something about combat gameplay. For anyone new to my channel, my name is Peter and let's dive into the first tip: movement in combat. In Phantom Brigade, your units are powerful and highly maneuverable mechs which have the ability to both shoot and move at the same time. This is why, when setting up your mech's actions for the next turn, you need to incorporate your shots and shield blocks with your mech's movement timeline. The movement can be broken down into several sections, allowing you to choose the best places from which to fire at the enemy or block their in-turn fire using a shield. You need to overlay your fire actions and shield blocking on top of the movement bar at the appropriate moments during each turn. You do not have to worry about the facing and rotation of the mechs, as they will rotate their bodies according to the enemy towards their action is targeting. Even if you send them backpedaling, they won't just turn their backs to the enemy, but execute your order to fire or raise up their shield while falling back. Analyzing enemy plans. The second tip is directly connected to the first one, because it's about choosing the right combat action for each moment of each turn. Since your mechs are equipped with combat prediction technology, you will get to see where the enemy will move to during their turn on the battlefield, but what you might have missed is the fact that you can see at which moment of their turn will they fire and at which one of your mechs. This is something you can see by clicking on the enemy unit you want to analyze and then taking a look at its combat plan for the entire next turn. By moving your cursor over its timeline, you can see at which point will it target and attack one of your mechs, and you can use this information to plan countermeasures like dashing behind cover before this moment in the timeline or raising up your shield and pointing it towards the enemy unit at that point in the turn. Additionally, this will prevent you from shooting at the enemy who plans to raise up their shields, wasting your time as you won't do any damage to the main parts of the enemy mech. Using different movement abilities. I have mentioned dashing a moment ago, and now I want to elaborate on that. This is an additional ability only gained through upgrading your mechs with new parts you scavenge from the battlefields. Mainly the mech's chest feature thrusters, which are used to unlock the dash ability and catapult your mech short distances on the battlefield. This is a great way to quickly dive behind cover to avoid getting shot or change direction of travel instantly. The important thing to note is that dashing is only safe as long as you are dashing to a place with the same elevation your mech is currently on and that there are no high obstacles in the way. As for running, one important tip to remember is that if two of your mechs converge on the same spot at the same time, they will crash into each other and one will fall down, losing their step and their turn orders. On the other hand, this is quite useful if you want to smash an enemy tank with your mech's sheer weight and momentum. Concentrating your fire. The next tip is about how to quickly dispatch enemy units like tanks or mechs. The idea here is that since you have two mechs, you need to try and maneuver them in such a position as to allow you to fire at the same target at the same time. But since enemy units have just as powerful weaponry as you do, you want to destroy them one by dealing as much damage as possible in as few turns as possible. As you are the underdog in this campaign and will very often have to deal with overwhelming enemy numbers, your tactic needs to be dealing with current enemy waves as soon as possible, before more enemy units reach you. The additional benefit of doubling down on enemy units is that you can have one mech soak up the enemy fire from the front with a shield, while your second mech can freely nuke the enemy in the back with consecutive attacks. Taking cover. This last tip is about increasing your own survivability in combat, because as I just explained, in each mission you will be outnumbered and outgunned. So for you to survive those prolonged engagements, you need to learn how to temporarily hide your mech and avoid taking fire. For this, you can use objects in the world like buildings and fortifications, but also the natural barriers like hills. The only downside of using buildings for cover is that these can only take so much damage before they collapse and you end up stranded with no cover. One important tip here is that facing tanks with your mechs, you have the height advantage as your mech's weapons fire from a higher level than tanks do. If an enemy tank goes into a crevice or moves through a valley, your mech can get a shot at them, while the tank's fire will be blocked by the natural terrain. There are more combat tips I want to give you about this game and also show you how to upgrade and manage your mechs and pilots, but I will do so in another video. If you have enjoyed this one, please remember to hit that like button below and subscribe to get notified when I post another video about this or other strategy and simulation games on my channel. Thank you for watching and happy gaming!